Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to the Meathead podcast. Joining me and Big Mike Cox today is someone I've known a very, very long time. He is an 11-time Pro Masters champion. He's a 2-time Masters Olympia competitor. Please welcome, formerly from New Jersey, I bet he's living in Florida like everybody else now, Vinny Galanti. What's up, Vinny?
Unfortunately, I'm still in Jersey. I am a Meathead, freezing my ass off. Freeze today.
Yeah,
So,
Mike's an Ohio guy, but Mike's in Florida. You know, why is everyone got to go?
I'm freezing too. It's only 65 degrees, so I'm a little chilly as well.
Oh, poor Mike.
Yeah.
So, just to give people some perspective, Vinny, what year did you start competing, and how old were you then? And when did you turn pro? When was that?
Well, wow, we're going back a long time. My first contest was a non-sanctioned contest back in 1984 called the Mr. Hudson County. I was 16 years old, and you know, I trained at Billy's Gym in Bayonne, and I learned from bodybuilders and powerlifters, and I've adopted a lot of the techniques I learned back then that I'm applying today to keep me healthy as a Masters. And you know, I did the show. I took third out of 3. The bug bit me, and 9 years later, I met you at the USA.
92. You won the middleweight at the Junior USA in Culver City, California.
Correct. Yeah.
And the next year, you won middleweights at the USA.
Yep.
Where Chris Cormier won the overall.
Yes.
And listen up, you youngsters out there. Back then, one guy walked away with a pro card from the whole show. One
guy.
These days.
And it was, I had 16 years of trying to turn pro.
Wow.
You know, we had so many amazing competitors in the 90s. And I think that because there was only the prestiginess to earn a pro card was different back then. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like today where you just want to put initials after your name to, you know, brag on social media. I mean, it was a different mindset. And today's different. I mean, would I be doing what the guys are doing today? Probably, because that's what it's going on. It's all I would know. So I don't mock what's going on today. It's just a different era. I only mock. Now, I'm not talking about Olympia level, pro level. I'm talking about the bottom line guys in the gym that you walk in on and see how they train, and the intensity, the camaraderie, the ball breaking brotherhood of having training partners that just want to push you. It's not there. It's gone. It's dead. It doesn't exist anymore. And I've unfortunately have created probably a handful of people who have turned their backs on me at Powerhouse Gym where I train with my clients, because they don't understand the ball breaking. They don't understand, like, I love fucking with people to get them to train harder, but this era is they look at me like
they're soft.
What's wrong with you? Like, so, you know, I've stopped. I've completely stopped. I don't even like do it anymore unless I'm training with some guys that gravitate to the mindset that I've developed from the exposure and my experiences. You know, I remember training with oh God, we're going back a long time. My first time, I thought I trained hard, and I remember training with Sean Ray and Cormier at Gold's, and you know how hot it could be in Venice, and I threw up a couple times that day. You know, I thought I trained hard, and they brought me to another level. And you know, Chris was like, "What are you doing? Get up, go do another set." And you know, here I am, like, I'm gonna do another set because that's the way we roll in Jersey. We don't back down, you know. So
how old were you when you turned pro?
I was 41 when I turned pro. So after I won the USA, so up until the USA, I never had any issues with making a weight class. So when I won the USA in 93, I think I weighed 169 pounds. And there was no issue. When I fast forward to the 94 Nationals, it was one of those, you know, you ever see like those guys that, win back in the day, they'd win their pro card and they step on stage at the Night of the Champions and they're like, what happened? Holy shit. How did he transform into that? So when the 94 Nationals rolled around, I didn't step on stage. I didn't step on a scale until probably 3 days before the show. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm 184 pounds. I went from 169 to 184. And, I didn't know how to be a middleweight from 180. I didn't know how to make a weight class. I had no experience in it. And probably took drastic measures with diuretics and cutting my water and all the bullshit that you see. And I'll be the first to admit, man, I got a gift at that show. I took fifth. I didn't belong in fifth. I probably should have taken like 10th. I didn't belong there. It was my name that carried me. I think that was my opinion. Or maybe I was better than I thought I was. But I didn't think I belonged in the top 5. I didn't bring the same USA conditioning. And, did it 2 years in a row. 95, I did the same thing. Now I'm like, I'm around. I realized I was around the wrong people because they were all like, you can look how huge you are. You could be a great middleweight. I'm like, yeah, but now I'm 190. How am I going to get to 176? And we did it. I took 5th again. It was a better package, but it wasn't the same as 93. And I just cleaned house I had to clutter out everybody, get them out, and I rode solo for like almost a year and a half and just didn't train with anybody. I was alone. And the only good thing that came out of those years was 92 and 93 and a little bit of 94 were my training partners, Joe Caputo and Chris Barron. Those two guys, I'm still in touch with them today, lifelong friends, so bodybuilding is great for that.
Yeah. So, most guys who turn pro as a Masters, you won the Masters Nationals overall. They don't ever do anything in the sport after that, but you've got 11 pro wins and you've been to the Olympia now twice, the Masters Olympia.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Masters Olympia because it's been in Romania now and Japan. So you've had some experiences going all over the world with these shows.
Well, let me just go back for 1 second to turning pro. And you guys can understand this. When you're up and coming and winning the USA, competing in the nationals, there's a certain mindset. Hey, you got to win the nationals. And, I think Dexter was the only guy to ever win the North American championships and do something in the sport, right? There was not a lot of prestige going into the North American.
Right.
And so my mindset here in Jersey was you got to win the nationals, turn pro. So when I won the Masters Nationals overall and I got my pro card, and Steve Weinberger came up to me on stage and he said, duplicate this for your first pro show next year. I was looking at him like, pro show? No, I got the nationals in November. This was just a warm up. And I remember having a conversation with him and he said, you're a pro. And I didn't know how to accept that because my mindset for so many years was programmed one way. And I was not comfortable stepping on stage the first 2 years as a pro. And I could probably honestly say I sabotaged myself thinking I wasn't worthy. All wrong thinking. I completely wasn't thinking correctly. I just thought my counterparts and my friends and everybody were thinking like, oh, you got your pro card, the back doorway. You got it an easy way. And that's the pressure I put on myself. That's how the magnitude of how much the pro card meant to us, so moving forward into the Masters was only because I had major shoulder surgeries. I had 9 anchors in my right shoulder and I have 5 on my left. And I never thought I, would train for a competition ever again. But when I went for surgery, I told the doctor, I said, look, I'm a professional bodybuilder. Not sure if I'm ever going to want to compete again. But if the desire comes back, can you put me back together in a way where I can, train? And I got 9 anchors. I got 5 anchors. And I was motivated more to get on stage because I was watching my niece, Christy, have her battle with cancer. And it motivated me to think, well, if she could fight this fight, I could try to compete again. And that's how it all started. And that was in 2017. In 2018, I went to the Masters Baltimore Pro, got clobbered. I didn't do very well. And, you know, it was like a 2-year pattern of just a 2-year back-to-back relearning my body and realizing on the topic we're going to talk about today of training at an older age, that my body just wouldn't adapt to what I used to do. I had to change everything.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a quick question though. Yeah. When you finally get that pro card, because that's something that we all dream of as kids, we dream of getting that pro card, going to the Olympia. What did that moment feel like when you finally got that win? Just so I know, like, what that felt like.
All jokes aside, I remember going back to my hotel room and was like, what just happened? And a sea of emotions. I burst out crying. I can feel it right now when I say it to you. To earn your pro card and win overall doing it, you know, just I was shook. I was shaken by the core, you know, from the core of I'm a pro. Like, wow, what just fucking happened? And then, I broke down crying for like a baby.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure we would too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I'd probably still be crying. But so let's start talking about that, because the training aspect does change for most guys, whether they're competitors or not. The human body does change over time. We're not robots.
No.
There's wear and tear on the connective tissues, the tendons, the ligaments, our joints. I don't know. Did you ever have or do you have any arthritis issues, Vinny?
Oh God, yeah. My right side, I have all through my whole arm, into my hand, I have really bad arthritis, and I refuse to take a leave, or I won't take anything. I want to know my limitations, and I want to know that it's not that I'm not like crazy. I just I just don't want to get caught up in taking something for the pain. I do put on some CBD hemp that has some heat to it, and I'll rub that on, and that usually takes care of it. And I'll even put it on my knees and my shoulders when I go to train to help me get warmed up more. But the arthritis sucks. I mean, it sounds funny, like, you know, like when I look out through my eyes and I see the world and I see guys training, I'm thinking I'm still them. I still think I'm 25 years old. I'm like, what the hell's going on my arm? I got arthritis. How's that word even enter my vocabulary? You know, because I'm trying to I still think crazy and I want to train, but I have to adapt. I have had to adapt a whole new style of training, because here's the number one thing. And you guys have been training a long time, so you'll appreciate this. When we were younger, we could walk into a gym, no thought of warming up. You know, our warm up, if we were squatting, it was 135, 225, 315, 405, and that's it. It takes me 2 or 3 exercises to think about squatting 275. I got to do so much. So what I've adapted has been really a game changer in changing the way I look, a better foundation, if you will. Naturally, I've lost that pop that I had when I was younger, you know, because I'm older now. But to keep the thickness and to keep the density, I've realized that, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm going to do chest. My go-to is incline barbell bench press. I never flat bench press. It doesn't work for me. It kills my shoulders. But for some reason on the incline barbell, it's smooth as butter for me. It works really well. But instead of putting weight on the bar, I focus on, and this applies for every body part. The first exercise I do, I consider it a warm-up. So I'll put 30 reps up with just the bar. And I try to do that 2 sets. And everything gets warmed up. My chest pump, but more warm. And throughout my shoulders a little bit, and throughout my triceps just a little bit. So everything's getting really warmed up. Now I'll start with a quarter, and I'll work my way up to just a 45-pound bar, 45-pound plate on each side. It's not a lot of weight. We're not talking anything, impressive here. And I focus on a 12 rep range. Can I go heavier? Yes, but I don't on purpose because I'm focusing on warming up. Now, if I did the incline barbell third, I could work up to 225, but not the first exercise. I won't do it. I won't even chance it. Then the second exercise, is either a hammer incline or hammer straight on chest press, or actually the flat hammer works really well for me. I don't feel it in my shoulders at all. And then I'll start increasing the weight a little bit as I get into the workout. It's almost like I'm working backwards into the workout, so that way I'm fully warmed up. And let me tell you, man, it's you got to have a lot of patience to train that way. And sometimes, a lot of times, I'm just focused on 5 reps, where I'm just doing 5 reps, add a quarter, 5 reps, and I can get 12. I refuse not to get 12 until I'm getting to, as the young guys call it today, top sets. It's my last set, whatever, however you want to call it, right? So I get to my top set, and it's until failure. And one workout could be a 45 and a quarter. The next week could be just a 45 because now it feels like a ton. I never, the days of thinking I'm progressing with weight, they're over.
Yeah. It's
all according to how you feel that day and how much you're applying to your warm up, how much sleep you've had, how food, etc. The list goes on and on. But the intensity is still there.
So, I mean,
you still get a good pump, though. I mean, you still get a real good pump because, like, I miss those mind-blowing pumps in your chest and your arms. You can't barely wash your hair when you get home. Your legs are waddling out the gym. I miss that. Even just a little bit of a pump now is awesome, but it's just hard, man. It feels like it's just gone.
But if you applied 20 to 30 reps for your first exercise, I can guarantee you're not doing it. I mean, so many guys that I train with, they'll say to me, I watch you train and it looks really easy until I actually train with you. And it's torture because I'm aiming for 30 reps. And once I feel really, really warm, and once I get past leg extension, leg curl, this a leg press, then I think about squatting. I will never think about squatting first in a workout at 58 years old. I wouldn't do it. It's not going to work out for me very well. It's going to be a bad ending. So I know that going into it. So, I'll do body weight squats for 15, 20 minutes before I even think about warming up. So to some people, they might think like that's a complete waste of time. It's not when you're 58 years old. And I do see a lot of my counterparts, these masters guys, with 6 plates on a hack squat, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like cringing when I see these videos. I'm like, and I know if they just took a step back and gorged the area with a lot of blood and focused on partial reps with maybe just a 45 and a quarter or 2 45s and go super slow, I know they'll respond better. I know they will. I'm not impressed with, I'm not thinking anymore, go into the gym to see what you can conquer. I'm going into the gym thinking, how am I going to train this muscle to get the pump that I want? Yeah. And then I'll bounce around a little bit with feeling some weights. I stay away from, I do them, but I stay away from dumbbells a lot. And I stay away from, a lot of dumbbells. I stay away from it because with having the 14 anchors in my shoulders, I don't have a lot of stability, and it does become a waste of time for me because I can do 30-pound dumbbells, but I'm getting nothing out of it. If I am doing a dumbbell, it's really for a warm up where I'm doing 20 or 30 reps with it. And that's not really training. That's just getting a warm up. Mm-hmm. So mostly everything I do is a machine now, mostly hammer for upper body.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get away from that mentality, or, I'm way beyond it because I've torn muscles and I've had a shoulder replacement, this and that. So I know there's no way I'm going back to the weights I used to use. It's just that ship has sailed long, long ago. But it's still rough for me to watch the young guys squatting the 4, 5, 6 plates.
Oh yeah,
pressing the 150, 160 pound dumbbells, all the shit that I used to do. And I mean, I know it's that Meathead. And you grew up in the same old school. You came up in those 80s gyms that were dungeons with power lifters and guys benching 500 left and right. It was not a big deal. So how long did it take you to adopt this mentality to where you can train the way you do now and you're perfectly fine with it? It doesn't, you never second guess yourself.
No, it didn't come easy. It didn't come quick either. I mean, once I was in after my shoulder surgeries, I was trying to train the old way and nothing happened. I didn't grow. Nothing happened. So I remember one day thinking, I'm going to take the first exercise and I'm just going to focus on getting a pump and then move on from there. Mm-hmm. And that's how I adapted. That's how I discovered it. And then I kind of was reading a little bit on the 5x5 program, a way of training. And I kind of like made my own version of that. I put that into my program. But the second I feel any tweak, I respect it as if it's a major injury. So if you can listen, we had tweaks when we were in our 20s and 30s and 40s, and it's like, nah, no big deal. Yeah. But now 58, I'm going to be 60 in a year and a half. I don't have time for setbacks. So if I feel something, a little tweak, I'm going to get cryotherapy. I'm going to get deep tissue massage. I might even like say, hey, I'll take 3 days off from the gym. I have no shame. There's no shame in that. I'd rather take 3 days off than be silly and try to train and then have to be out 3 months. So I try to handle it with kid gloves and just have the respect for the body, and make sure I'm warming up and respect the recovery, really.
So when you see these guys in our age range doing this, still trying to lift crazy heavy, and they're all wrapped up and big, thick belts and everything. And, deep down, it's because in their head, they're thinking, if I don't lift this heavy, I'm going to lose all my muscle mass. I'm going to be a skinny fuck. And, I
don't know what they're thinking. But I do know that I've had almost every, and, say how I'm doing it, I could be better or bigger. And I'm thinking like, I went down that route and I didn't get better. I didn't get bigger. I lost a lot of density and a lot of detail. And once I started to focus on slow things down, focusing on what I can do is more important to me than focusing on what I can't do. Yeah. So, and listen, the list gets longer and longer of the things I can't do. And yes, that can get frustrating and that can get like depressing sometimes. There's some days I can do T-bar rows with good weight for strict 12, 15 reps. Then there's some days where I can't even do half that weight and I just walk away from the exercise and I just don't even focus on it. I don't get upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, you said it was a good point. Dexter Jackson said the same thing years ago in an interview. He said, when I feel a little tweak, I'm done. He would stop training that body part for that day and he wouldn't touch it again until everything felt 100%. He's been injured. If they think back, there were warnings that they ignored. There were red flags that they just like, fuck it. And they just kept going. And then something pops or something tears.
It's funny. I saw a video of myself. We're going back 2002, 2003, when I was with Universal Nutrition. And in the video, I was saying, yeah, I have a shoulder injury. And we're going back a long time. And then it was like 10 years later, I tear my shoulder. So it was 9-10 years in the making that, I remember the day I did it. It's like a bad car accident. I had just done my first powerlifting meet where that was just a bucket list kind of thing. I for one full year, I just said, you know what? I'm going to throw everything out the window that I know about bodybuilding. And I hooked up with my friends Eric Schwartz and Greg Santasario from G Code Nutrition and Universal Nutrition, and we trained at Henri Skiba's gym in Carteret, New Jersey. And I met Eric every Sunday, and just focused on squat, bench, and deadlift, and very little ancillary work, and that was great. Now 4 months later, I got all this strength, and it was a couple of years that I was like doing like the hundreds and 110s dumbbell bench pressing. I haven't done that in a while. And so there's one day, 70 pounds was like my threshold at the time, pressing 70s. I'm like, that was easy. Wow. Let me go to 80s. Went to 80s. This is easy today. Went to the 90s. I got like 8 smooth reps, and I knew I could get more, but I stopped because I'm like, I'm going to get 100 today. I'm putting 100s up. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. Third rep, just ripped, and the dumbbell smashed me in my face, busted my mouth open. I needed stitches inside my mouth, and tore the whole rotator cuff off. Yeah. So when you have a traumatic accident like that, you're going to pay attention to how to come back, But I was silly when I came back. It's like I guess when you hear somebody say, "I'll never diet again for a show," and then a year later I'm dieting again because they forgot the pain and misery they were in, And I just forgot the pain and misery for a second, and I started training heavy again and trying to do all the things I used to do, and my body didn't change. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So once I kind of stumbled onto it by accident, like I said a moment ago, about just doing some higher reps and getting everything warmed up. And it took me about 6 months to catch on that was working. It wasn't like I had this epiphany and like light came down on me and said, this is the way you should train. And like that didn't happen that way. It was just over time that like you see this video right now, I'm doing quarters.
Yeah.
I'm going slow there. Like I'm not doing anything fast or abrupt. So
like 6-second negative.
Yeah, and I want to make the weight feel heavier than it really is. So
you don't really have any kind of range of motion problems, do you?
I don't, because I worked on that really, really bad. I mean, I can get my hands over my head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
Damn.
good. I'm solid. But I just saw somebody said, "Yeah, your body will humble you." Yeah, my body humbled me, man. Yeah.
I always say, if you don't respect your body's going to teach you respect the hard way.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
I wish I heard that 30 years ago.
I would, dude. I hear you, man. I wish that I listened to the older guys when I was 25.
He'll run that all the time. All the time, man.
Yeah.
Like if you could change anything about your training from when you were younger, is there anything that you think was harmful to the shoulders, or anything that you, looking back, maybe I should have done that?
Yeah, we're men, and we go into the gym with the the thought process to be a man and to train and to move weight and to be bigger and get stronger, right? Yeah. So you're not, even though you want to be a bodybuilder or a competitor and you want to build a big chest, we're under the impression of let's train a certain way. So I naturally always responded well to higher reps and moderate weight. And I ignored that my entire career. Ignored it. Wow. I'm like, no, I got to do what everybody else is doing. And I jumped on the bandwagon. Did I do it? Was I able to do it? Yeah, but it didn't do much for me. I probably, I don't know if I would have looked different, but I would have not have had 14 screws on my shoulders at this point. I think I just did wear and tear on my body because, of the being of the mindset of being a little like stubborn, and just I want to do what my friends are doing. They're dumbbell bench pressing the 130s. I want to try that, and I did it. I don't think I got anything out of it. Well, I had so many like people in my corner that were training certain ways that I'm mad at myself for not taking on that approach. Because I remember training with John Natashak, and John when he was making a comeback in the Masters Olympia many years ago, I remember him, he was doing shoulder presses with just a quarter on each side. And I said, why aren't you going heavier? He goes, I can, but I don't have to. Mm-hmm. And I never adapted that mindset. I always thought like, no, put more weight on. But it didn't. I think a lot of people could probably benefit way better if they trained, more in tune with how they feel, opposed to just going into the gym thinking, well, last week I got 5 plates on a hack squat for 8.
Yeah.
Today I'm going to try to get 10 reps or 6 plates for 8 reps. If you get out of that mindset, I think we can start grow. I've seen it. Even my own clients, a lot of my clients, they don't get it when we're doing it. I'm like, look, we're going to warm up with 20, 30 reps. 5 reps, and keep adding the weight. And now they're doing weight that they can really handle and feel the muscle. And they're lifting a little bit more than they usually lifted. Now, I'm not talking a ton of weight. I'm just talking about just a little bit to make you feel good. And now you can contract the muscle. And so I have that approach with everything I do and everybody I train.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about when we were young, it was all about getting stronger. For the ego, of course, that young male ego, we all wanted to be the alpha, whatever. But you're only going to get stronger up to a certain point, or else we'd have people bench pressing 5,000 pounds, and But it's hard to break out of that mentality that, oh no, I can't just use a moderate weight and do more reps. It goes against everything that I believe in, everything I've ever been told or taught. And especially as you get to a certain age, 40, 50, when the joints, and most of you guys watching this, young guys, you're going to have some level of arthritis probably in your shoulders, your knees. It's going to happen. I mean, it's just inevitable. And that's when you really need to sort of back off. But I think it's very difficult. And I see so many guys getting hurt because they just can't do it.
Yeah. Like I said before, we unfortunately, we let our egos get in the way, and I'm victim of that. I've done that, Yeah. It is what it is. And it's difficult talking to a 22-year-old and telling them train this way. And I've had guys train with me and say to me, my God, I lifted less weight than I normally lift with you, and I was sore for 4 days. And then they go right back to training erratic and being sloppy and screaming and grunting and groaning and doing all this silly stuff. And, but I understand, because I was silly one time too.
After your surgeries, how long did it take for you to come back to say you were like 100%, to where you felt comfortable actually putting some weight on the barbell or a dumbbell?
I have to admit that when I first started coming back, I was very scared. I was, it was like just very scary putting weights up. It took me, so I tore my right side and I had the shoulder surgery New Year's Eve, 2014, 2015. This side, I had I tore it early 2016, and I had shoulder surgery February of 2016. So all of that time, I was out of commission. I was doing band work. I wasn't really doing much. And I started reading up on some, I want to get this correct. It was mostly like Bulgarian and Russian types of working out, where there's this, I never heard of it at the time. So I was against it when I first heard it, but I did all this research. It was probably the first time I actually started studying about training. Everything just came, whatever I did. I never took it serious. When I got my certifications, I didn't listen to what was in the book. I just did it enough just to pass. Yeah. So, I'm just being honest. So, it was all about training the healthy side when the injured side. So when I injured this side, I tried to train this side with the idea of that it would send message over that it wouldn't atrophy as bad.
Yeah.
And I think that helped drastically. So then when I tore this side, when I tore my left side, I was able to train the right side because it was a year later. And then I came back a lot faster the second surgery. And then yeah, I got caught up for like a year or two, a year and a half, maybe, trying to train the way I was, but it just wasn't working. It wasn't working.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point, because I remember talking to Branch when he tore his quad years ago. Has he torn both of them now? Anyway, he worked the non-injured side, and he believes it honestly kept the atrophy. The atrophy wasn't as bad once he took the cast off or the brace off. And I went through that with a torn tricep where I trained the other side, a torn quadricep where I trained the other leg, and the shoulder I did the same thing. And there is, I mean, there's science behind it. I don't have the studies to cite, but you're right. It sends signals to the other side. So even though it's in a cast or in a brace, it's not doing anything. It's still getting those nerve impulses as if it's training to an extent.
It does work. I've seen it with my own clients too. It's hard to believe. It's hard to grasp that mindset. But people think like, oh, I should just not train the other side completely, so that way everything shrinks and it'll come back even. But that's not what really happens. I remember thinking about like, okay, and I could do this. Like I have seasons for my training too. So right now I'm not training for a contest. So I'm not beating myself up. I'm training. So this is another component that's very hard to grasp. I started training with a push-pull legs but taking 2 days off in between. So let's say for conversation's sake, Monday I train upper body push. Yep. It's not until Thursday I'm training legs. So I'm taking 2 full days off, because we don't recover anywhere nearly as fast as we did when up until maybe 45 years old. Yeah. And I think it declines after that a little bit. And so, I just adapted like training way less when I don't need to train. So when I start training for a contest, I'll pick the pace up to 3 days a week. I shorten the gap of rest time. And then I pick the pace up to 4 days a week. That's the most I'll train, is 4 days a week.
Are you doing cardio too? Are you doing cardio throughout the rest time as well, or you just ramp that up before a show?
So cardio, fortunately, I am very blessed with having decent genetics in that department, with not putting on that much fat. And I can get away with eating some things we're not supposed to eat, like, pizza, Oreos, things like that. I like those things. I enjoy them. They make me happy. So I don't eat too much, but I don't get really fat, and it only doesn't take me long to get in shape. So I do cardio now, only 20 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week. It's for just some heart health purposes, but I don't really dial in. I don't know, Ron, if you're going to remember this. Reading Flex magazine, or one of the magazines many years ago, Sean Ray talking about only doing cardio Monday through Friday and saving his cardio so he can train legs on Saturdays. And I adapted that idea and I stuck with it. My leg day might not be on weekends anymore, but I only do it 5 days. And so I try to just, when I'm training for a contest, I'll just train through the week, do my cardio Monday through Friday, because cardio sucks. And up to an hour a day, taking 2 days off is really nice. It's just it's a good break,
Yeah, you just touched on something that I am so guilty of. I have cut back on. I'm not stupid. I don't try to move a lot of weight that I shouldn't be doing, or do exercises that I know are a very bad idea. But I do train too much. I'm overtraining, because I'm on push-pull legs, and very often I do push-pull legs all 3 days in a row, 1 day off, right back at it. I'm 56. I'm not 20 anymore. Even with TRT and stuff, in my heart of hearts, deep down, I know I probably shouldn't be doing this, but rest days or the off days from the gym, they're so hard for me. I just hate not going to the gym and training, because, did you ever struggle with that, or were you always cool with, okay, I can take 2 or 3 days off from weights?
Since I've been competing in the Masters, listen, I'm not delusional. I know if there was no Masters division, I wouldn't be competing. I know that I can't stand on stage with the open guys. I know that. I'm not crazy. But there is life in the Masters. And so I thought, if I'm going to be competitive in this, I have to play this smart. And it goes back to doing what you can do and not what you can't do. Don't focus on what you can't do. So if taking more rest days is going to help me recover, then I'm going to do that. It never really was an option to dwell upon it. Like, I never really thought like anything negative about it. When I started I remember reading some stuff on Mike Menser, and he would talk about the spacing out of how long he would go without training. And I thought, that's crazy. Who the hell would do that? Like that's just insane. But then when you have those moments of because maybe life gets in the way and you have 3-4 days off and you come back and it's the best workout you've had in like months.
Yeah.
I started thinking wait, maybe I could apply this. What if I do this? And one of the biggest things that I've learned is to keep my mouth shut, to tell other guys what I'm about to do, because everybody's against what I'm talking about. I have met many people who say, I agree with you. Take 3 days off. No, that's crazy. Don't do that. So I found it better to go into uncharted waters by myself, figure it out, see if it works. And there's things that didn't work along the way, but I found that if you preserve yourself for 7-8 months out of the year and then kick the shit out of yourself for 3 or 4 for a show or two, I'm going to have a better product at the end. And my biggest regret today is this past year. I went back into my old ways now after the Masters Olympia, but the thought of man, it took me so long to get to a Masters Olympia, I can't stop training. And it was almost like that FOMO kind of feeling, like fear of missing out. Like I have to train. And I didn't give myself the proper rest. And, it was just an accumulation of one bad thing after another. And that when you're not focused and when you're tired and you're pushing it, especially in your 50s, you're going to have a bad outcome. So I don't think that I approached this last Olympia prep correctly. I think I probably overtrained for it.
Did you get injured at the competition?
Yeah, I got it. Fortunately, I have my Dr. Mack, who takes care of my knees, and I've had exosome therapy and stem cells injected into my knees over the last couple of years. And my left knee, I've had meniscus surgery twice, and I was just backstage, and here we are. Japan was hot. It was hot. It was so uncomfortably hot there. When we were in the pump up area, it was actually freezing. It was cold. The air conditioner was cranking, and I probably was not dressed enough. Didn't have enough clothes on, and I got up to use the bathroom, and my knee popped right out. And it swelled up, and the stress took over. But that wasn't the case. I just, excuse my language, I fucked up. Things just didn't go the way they should have went the last week. I take full responsibility for it and everything. And so I put blame on nobody else but myself. Those are things happened that I knew I should have done something else, and I didn't. So, that's all on me. I take the hit on that. And I think I was just under stress, getting acclimated in Japan was crazy. I mean, it was, when I tell you it was so hot, it was so hot. I was walking outside just dripping sweat. I'm like, are we in hell? This is so. But Japan was an experience. Had my family with me, and it is the clean in my life. There's no garbage on the streets, and there's no garbage cans anywhere to be found. I don't know how they do it. It's pretty cool over there. And gyms, I trained at Hide's gym.
Oh, how was that?
It was fucking awesome, man. It was just so cool. He has a little gym and he has equipment that I've never seen before. And then in the bigger gyms, I had to wear a long sleeve shirt because I have a sleeve, and they equate the tattoo with gangs over there. And I don't know the whole story, but yeah, I wasn't allowed in one gym.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought it was cool. It was an experience. They were like, you can't come in. You have to cover your arm up. You have to cover your sleeve up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just to get back to that, so your knee, that happened before you went on stage, the knee pop, right?
Yeah.
So you went, did you make it to the stage?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Was it incredibly painful?
A little bit. I was really uncomfortable, and that's what I was focusing on, like the pain in my knee. But I was just trying to play it off and just do my thing. I knew I looked horrible, you know. I looked right at Steve Weinberger. He smiled at me. That kind of smile, like, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
You'll be back kind of look. So
Did you feel your legs at all posing with your knee like that?
I don't remember.
Wow.
I honestly don't. I don't remember. I just remember going back to the Airbnb and icing it because it swelled up really bad, and you know. But that was just shit happens, man. Life happens.
Yeah. I do want to touch on TRT, HRT, PED stuff just briefly, because another thing I see guys in our age range doing is continuing to blast large amounts of gear. And I've lost so many friends. So many of them have died. I've had a lot more of them that they disappeared from the gym years ago, heart problems, kidney problems, whatever, because they couldn't get it out of their head that I shouldn't or I can't be doing grams and grams of crap anymore. You know, was there a point for you where you said, well, I'm a certain age, or I've been doing things this long, and I don't think you ever did a lot, and you tell me yes or no, but you never had the look to me of someone who was a heavy user at all.
Yeah.
But was there a point where you had to make adjustments in that area too?
There was only one time I didn't. It was only one time I came off. I did not come off, and that was when I was training at Gold's in Venice. I don't know if I should say his name. He was like, hey, don't come off. I'm like, but I always come off. I don't use anything until 12 weeks before a contest. And I didn't get much out of it. So I knew early on, like, this is not work. That doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. So now fast forward, as at the age I'm at, I do need TRT.
Yeah. And
so, you know, when I'm not doing anything, it's 100 milligrams of testosterone. I microdose it throughout the week.
Yeah.
And I take a little HCG, and I'm not 100%. I'm not like I'm 18 years old. That those days are over. You know, I have to come to the realization of that area of my life. But a lot of people don't understand that if you don't do TRT, that's also unhealthy when your testosterone level is extremely low. It's not healthy for you. You need a little bit of testosterone and an equal balance of estrogen, and you have to, you know, be under a doctor's care. I've been very fortunate to make friends with so many different people around the world, and now with social media, we keep in touch. And there's a guy on Instagram, Pumped DK. His name is Thomas Anderson, and you got to hit that guy up. This guy is a mastermind with the programming and cycling. He wrote a book on it. I think he's releasing it soon. But you know, I haven't pushed the envelope. It doesn't work for me. I know it doesn't work for me. So fortunately, I do. Hey, look, I could drop dead tomorrow after this podcast is over. Who knows, right? I get hit by a bus, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah. I want to go to a third Olympia. So, you know, listen, it's just like with trying to lift heavy in the gym and, you know, putting that ego aside. I'm not really married to the idea of like, I have to be on all the time. So Ron, even the years that I didn't compete, there was a period of time, you know, I've gone 2-3 years not competing, or a year and a half between shows. I don't do anything. And when I was off. Like there was no TRT, there was no HCG, there was nothing. I'm off.
Yeah.
I will not come off now because I'm 58. And I think we're in an era of, like, I see a lot of guys on these, they're experts on their podcasts, and they say testosterone is not a steroid. And they're teaching young kids that, like, I talk to guys all the time, and they're like, yeah, I'm on TRT. I'm like, yeah, what are you taking? Like 750 of test? I'm like, that's nuts. Yeah, testosterone is TRT. I'm like, dude, you're 19 years old. You have more testosterone than you need.
Yeah.
They're confused. What did we learn? We learned from 3 big guys in the gym, Flex Magazine, Iron Man, Muscular Development, Muscle Mag.
Yeah.
From those magazines, we learned through trial and error, and we didn't have debates and arguments over science and bro science and top sets and feeder sets and all the stuff, the peak week and all the crap that's out there today that'll confuse the hell out of you. Mm. And that's another topic, if you want, I could talk about with peak week. That just drives me insane.
Oh my God. Hey, Ben, how's your diet changed? Like, just real quick, your diet, because my digestion as an old man, like right now, is not the best. How are you able to eat the same amount of, just the food you've eaten, the amount of protein and carbs? How does that work?
Okay, so when I was coming back, you guys know Stacy, who makes all the trophies down in Florida, Stacy Taylor.
Well, she's a judge, right?
Stacy Taylor used to be Paul DeMayo's training partner back in the day.
Oh.
Okay, so Stacy makes all of the trophies today, all the plaques. Okay, these guys.
Okay.
Right. So I run into Stacy down in Florida, and he's like, "What happened to you? What's going on?" I said, "I'm just coming back. You know, I just had shoulder surgeries, and I'm just getting my feet wet again." And I was under the impression that I needed to be on a low carb diet, and I've read like pretty extensively on how when you're older, for a man, I don't know for a woman too, but for a man, your pancreas can't break down the carbohydrates as well and all this stuff, right? So I'm telling him that, and he's laughing. He's like, "You're an athlete. You're a high level functioning athlete. You need more food." So it was scary for me to eat 500 grams of carbs when he recommended it. I never done that before. So I found this really simple, super simple thing. And you guys see the graininess I have in shows. And this is it. Monday and Tuesday, 100 grams of carbs each day. Wednesday to Saturday, 375 grams of carbs each day. Sunday, 500 grams of carbs. And I do that for 15 weeks in a row. I don't change it. And I just, going back to the 2019 Masters Pittsburgh Pro, I followed that program. And I remember going to, I can't remember the name of the gym. A friend of mine says to me, "Why don't you walk on stage the way you look right now?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? I got to lower my carbs for 3 days and carb up." He's like, "Look at you. You look insane. Walk on stage. Don't do anything." And I remember going home and I'm like, okay, he's right. None of that stuff really works for me. It backfires. So I started thinking about, like, to look 10% better, most of the times I look 30% worse. So I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to follow the same exact diet that I've been following the last 14 weeks. I was already in my head going to go buy food that I didn't even eat for 12 weeks, like jellies and rice cakes and all the crap that you see people doing. Yeah. And I was going to start increasing my water intake on Monday and have 5 gallons of water and slowly cut it down and trick your body and all. I'm like, wow, okay. I walk on stage in Pittsburgh. I win the 50 and the 40, and in pretty outstanding fashion. And I'm not a guy to brag, but I was so happy with that package. And I'm like, oh, that worked. And, I wanted to do the New York Pro the next year and call it quits. And that was it. I was going to just retire. And I thought, because there was no Masters Olympia at the time. The Masters Pittsburgh Pro was the #1 show. Then we got hit with the pandemic. New York Pro moved to Florida, I think 2 years in a row, if I recall.
Yeah.
So that idea was like out the window. And then I started thinking about, let me go back to the Masters Baltimore Pro. It's kind of like, it reminds me of my niece Christy, who just passed away. And that, I'm a very emotional guy. I start thinking about stuff, and, I need external motivation sometimes. I thrive when people talk shit about me. And when it's genuine, like genuine talking shit about me, you're opening up a can of fucking worms, and I will wreak havoc on your life and destroy you at a show. That's the way I am.
That's awesome.
So I started thinking about Christy and started thinking about, and there was this one moment that happened one day where her bandana came off her head, and it just hit me. And, so sorry. So, I saw her bald head, and just, it just all that was my motivation. And I just thought, I got to win this contest. And I ended up winning the 50, the 40, and the 35. Wow. And then I thought, and I entertained the idea of doing the New York Pro again, but I was like, am I too old? I don't want to get clobbered, and I picked other shows, and I won now 11 of the Masters Pro shows, a couple of seconds, couple of mishaps, couple of fifths, but 2 Masters Olympia later, so it's pretty cool.
I mean, that has to make you one of, I know Vince Taylor won the Masters Olympia a few times, but I'm trying to think, has anyone won more Masters Pro shows than you?
Oh yeah. There's a couple of guys. My friend Eric Berger down in Florida, he's won, I think, 13. Okay. There's a couple of guys that have won more than me.
But you're right up there. I mean,
yeah.
You're one of the most successful Masters Pros there's ever been. If you look at it in terms of win.
And also, look, I went into one of the shows down. It was the Daytona Pro in the middle of the hurricane they had 3 years ago. Oh. And it was a disaster. I mean, a complete disaster. I was shocked that the show went on the next morning. I remember for two straight days, we had no electricity in the hotel. All my food went bad. I had nothing to eat except raw rice, cream of rice, and protein powder.
Wow. So
I was drinking a shake, if you will, with cream of rice and chocolate protein powder. And I'm like, I'm not going to have enough protein powder. So I had to cut my protein in half. Wow. And I carved up with just drinking dry, uncooked cream of rice. And I won the over 50, and I took second in over 40. And that was like if you're in a pinch, yes, you can drink uncooked cream of rice. It works. I did it.
Wow. So they had the contest with no electricity?
Everything went back on the next morning. Yeah.
It's gonna be dark inside that place.
everything was back to normal the next morning. So it was like, I have video, I should post it up, of me in the hurricane. I went out on the deck, and I should not have been on the deck.
Freaking shit flying all over through it was like the Wizard of Oz with the houses flying through the air and the bicycles and all that stuff.
I was seeing umbrellas flying around.
Yeah. One thing I did want to touch on too is, I said in the title, training and gaining after 40, 50, 60, but I think it's fair to say that if you start training as a very young guy, like I was like 13, 14, Mike, you were probably around that age, right?
14 years old.
And you had to be pretty young too, right?
I started out training in my basement with the old school Joe Weider little red clamps. Made dumbbells, and one day the dumbbell fell apart because the red clamp came off, and everything smashed me in the face. And my father was like, "That's out of the house." And believe it or not, he ordered a Solo Flex machine. Remember those?
Oh, remember those? Yes.
You know how embarrassing that was. And then
wow.
I was just talking about this with my friend Dino earlier. He's my lifelong friend. We know each other since kindergarten. We went to we were taking karate lessons And I was saying to him, how did we stumble upon Billy's gym? And we both were remembering that we just walked out of the gym one day, out of karate, the dojo, and we didn't notice it until this one day. There's Billy's gym. And we checked it out. I remember walking into that place and smelling the rubber floor and the weights, and I was hooked. That was it. That was it. I never went back into the dojo.
Yeah. So I guess the point I was trying to make with that is, if you're in your 40s or 50s, the only way you're making gains, I would say, there's three circumstances. Either you started training later in life, and then, if you start training at 35, you can gain until 45, 50, probably incrementally. But another would be, say you were training naturally until you were 40 or 50, then you hop on gear, then you could probably make some new gains. The third scenario I would say would be, if you weren't training and eating right for many, many years, and then for whatever reason you finally figure it out, or you get a coach or something, and then you put it all together, then you can start making new gains. But for the most part, people in our age range, we're not gaining anymore. It's more about maintaining, and muscle maturity is a very real thing. I mean, Vinny, you probably see details in your muscles now that you didn't even see 10 years ago, right?
Yeah. I like to put aside the word off season now and call it improvement season. So yeah, I'm not gonna gain anymore at this point, and it's not gonna happen. But I try to do different angles and different variations of training, and just try to hit the muscles differently, get a different pump, work differently. But the thing we're gaining at this age is more knowledge if you're open-minded. So, I try to preach to the masses, and a lot of people don't want to hear what I have to say because they're married to the idea of, how many guys you hear like, oh, my elbows, oh, my shoulders. Like, well, stop training that way. Like, it just makes no sense. Just stop training. I have a friend of mine, who had minor back surgery early in the summer, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And now he just had major back surgery because he went back to leg presses and squats. And I said to him, I said, listen, we talked about this, a little bit of weight, 20 pounds, and do a ton of reps. Why aren't you doing leg extensions and leg curls? You're work. Then I had a squat, man. I'm like, now you can't do legs. Now you're done. Like, you can't even do a leg extension. And he's like, you're right. So yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow when we're getting older. I understand. I just thought of, like, if I'm gonna be competitive, if I'm gonna train for a contest, the last thing I want to do is be a contestant. I want to be a competitor. I want competitors to know that when I'm showing up, there's only a 1% chance I'm off, and they better be on their fucking game, because I'm a lunatic when it comes to training for a show. And in the mindset, I got blinders on, and so I want competitors to be scared when Vinny Galanti shows up. I want that. Like, I love that shit, because there's guys that I know that when I know they're in the show, I'm training way harder. I'm like, there's guys, I won't even mention their names because I don't want them to know I'm looking at them. So when I'm going, I go on Instagram and I'll search a bunch of people. I'm like, is he doing the show I'm thinking of doing? And sometimes I make shit up in my head and go, he's doing it. Boy, I need that external. Here's my thinking. So when I was making a little comeback, a lot of Tom Brady videos on YouTube, a lot of them. Now, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, but I'm a Tom Brady fan, and I love anybody who's made a comeback, who can figure things out. And Tom brought it to my attention about paying attention to what you do in the off season. So my nutrition is way better in the off season than it's ever been, even when I was in, like, back in earlier pro career and amateur days. So my nutrition is better. And there was a video clip of Giselle explaining that Tom left for the day to take the kids ice skating. And when he came back, he was cold and distant and didn't want to talk. And she said she knows when he comes in the door that way, which is usually after like a hard practice or a game, leave him alone for 1 hour. Just leave him alone. So she left him alone for an hour. She came in to his office and she's like, what's up? And he goes something to the effect of, the Zamboni guy told him what he did wrong in the game Sunday. And he said, wait a minute. What, you're mad at that? He goes, can you fucking believe the Zamboni guy talked about A, B, and C of the game, how he played the game.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the details, but she was like, how are you thinking? This guy's never played professional football. But as athletes, sometimes when you reach a level, you need external motivation, because if you're around too many people that are preaching and telling you you're great, if you start believing it, you slip. And so I don't like even my good friends will tell me how bad I am, because they know, I'm not going to operate very well. Like if you're telling, if like any competitor out there, if you send me a message to tell me how great I am, you're just going to make it worse for myself. So
last thing I want to talk about, you said you don't get fat, so maybe this doesn't apply to you really, but a lot of guys in our age range, me and Mike, we could get fat if we weren't careful. I mean, we could. So I'm
not saying I don't get fat. I mean, I'm just I keep it at bay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There comes a certain point where bulking up and getting to a real heavy weight it's just not, especially once you're past 50 and you've had friends who've had heart attacks and died, and your parents and cousins, everyone's had heart attacks, and you start realizing, oh shit, maybe I better not do this. But you must come across a lot of guys who still have that perma-bulk attitude, even in their 40s and 50s, where say if they're a competitor, maybe they compete at like 200, but they'll get to like 250 or 260 in the off season. This big bloated red face and chunky love handles and everything. And there's not many, but there are a couple of Masters guys that that do that. And they're married to that idea, and it's very difficult to get them away from that ideology. And the only time, and honestly, it's so difficult at this age to get in shape. So I don't know why some people want to make it more difficult for themselves. To each his own. I don't really believe in that. Well, I mean, if I'll address all the guys right now out there in our age range, even if you're a little younger, there's no point in, I bulked, I was a fat shit every winter for years and years.
Oh my God.
And I never even saw it until like New Year's pictures. I'd look at the pictures like, oh my God, I'm a fat fuck. I have a head like a chipmunk. It's ridiculous. And then I would start cutting back. But there's no point. As you get older, it becomes that much more dangerous to your health to be carrying 20, 30, 40 extra pounds that your body does not need.
Oh, yeah. So the only time I can say I did that, and I thought I wasn't doing it, but I realized I did, was we went. So I have pictures from my whole family had an opportunity to go to California for I don't know if you're familiar with the TV show The Golden Bachelor.
Yeah.
Heard it? Yeah. So my sister's Teresa Nist, who won the show.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, first one.
That's
so
awesome.
I got a chance to go, and it wasn't until after I saw the pictures, my head was like a fire hydrant. I look horrible. Yeah, so it does happen sometimes, and you don't realize until you see the pictures later. Because when you're doing it, you're like, yeah, I feel great. And I think that's the only time in the 7 years of me being a Masters competitor, because I started thinking about the Masters Olympia, and I'm going to go to the Masters Olympia. I got to get bigger. I'm going to be in the open class. And, I begged, can I be in the 212? Can I go into the classic? I'm going to get killed in the open. And they wouldn't let me. But, I've learned, we learn from them quicker when you're older.
Yeah.
When we're younger, we make mistakes and don't realize we're making mistakes.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Is there anybody competing as long as you have been? Current, like back from that era? I don't think you're probably the longest current competitor from competing now, right?
So there's a lot of guys who competed in the nationals with me back in the 90s, right?
Okay.
Then life got in the way for them, where either jobs, divorce, whatever.
Yeah.
Just life went in a different direction for them, and for me, it was the same course the whole time. And they got back into competing early 50s. So they're loving the sport again, and they're enjoying it. And I've made some great friends from this. And yeah, there's a few lunatics out there that want to recapture what they had, and they don't win shows. I've seen it. Like I know a couple of guys who are just not winning anything, and they're thinking they got to chase this size game again, and they got to chase the 315 bench and 405 squats for 20 reps. And I'll talk to them and I say, listen, man, when I do 20 rep squats, it's with just 225. I'm 275 is my heavy day. And they're like, why aren't you going heavier? Like, there's no need for it anymore. I'm not going to break my kneecap. I'm not going to tear my glute. And those are realistic injuries that can happen.
Oh yeah.
So, listen, have I figured it out? Well, everything, no, but I just want to apply what I know is working for me. And right now, this whole new concept of training every I train, take 2 full days. Take 2 full days off, then train again. So that would be like every 3rd day or every 4th day.
Yeah.
That's new for me right now. I started applying that because I know I need longer rest days. So it's like, do I say, no, I'm going to ignore the fact that I need longer rest days and train and have shitty workouts? My workouts are always pretty good. I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. I'm usually having a 9 workout. Sometimes it's a 10. So I think that is the biggest thing that people have a hard time with, the rest days.
Absolutely.
So
what year was your first show? I'm going to try to get the tally here.
February 1984.
Wow. So 41 years of competing?
42.
God damn.
Wow. It'll be 42 in February. Wow.
There's been years I didn't compete. I mean, I thought when I didn't turn pro, in 2005, at that time, I didn't compete for 2 years. 2002 and 2003, I did not compete. I thought I was done. I did the Masters. I mean, I did the Nationals in 2005, and I took 5th. And then, what's his name approached me for the PDI.
Wayne D'Amelia.
Wayne D'Amelia approached me in the PDI, and he sold me this idea that it was going to be grand and all the stuff and how much money I was going to make. And I'm like, well, I'm never going to be an IFBB pro. It's not going to work out. I'm not doing, it's not going to work out. So let me do this thing. And, where I come from, you tell your boss you're going to quit, like you face to face. You don't just leave a job. So I saw Mannion just like a couple of weeks later, and I walked up to him at the Arnold and I told him what I was going to do. And he was so pissed at me. And then when I saw the thing imploding a little bit, I remember calling Weinberger up and I said, hey man, I am embarrassed to even admit that I fell for this song and dance. I just want to let you know I'm not doing anything. I'm not having any part of this PDI. And then I was like, in 2007, I came back and competed in the Masters Nationals.
Yeah. And
I took 2nd place in the light heavy. And there was a weird, I was 40 years old, and there was a weird thing going on with my body. I was extremely tired leading up to the contest, where I was sleeping all day long. I would just eat, sleep. And when I got to the contest, I remember the next morning I was home. We went home, and the next morning it looked like I had a stroke, and basically I had Bell's palsy.
My God.
Yeah, so they diagnosed me saying I had Lyme disease, and I thought I had Lyme disease, but I don't. I have Epstein-Barr, which is a viral infection. It really wreaks havoc on your nervous system, and so that's one reason why taking rest days applies to me more than the next guy, because I have to, Yeah, so I have Epstein-Barr, and I've had Bell's palsy twice, and they say it stems from having mono as a kid. Yeah, so.
Oh shit! My daughter just had mono for the first time at age 31. Huh.
Oh really?
Dude, I remember seeing him in that '93 USA. I remember seeing him in the Flex magazine with Cormier Francois. I think you were doing a front double bicep in that magazine, in that Flex magazine. So it's like that kind of shit is always ingrained in your head when you take it back to that '90s era. And I was looking at that list. You just see all those names, bro.
Yeah.
And it just takes you back to that era. And like these kids, they can't understand what it was like because they didn't see it, right? They didn't see those physiques. They didn't see the camaraderie. They didn't see how hard we trained. Like we didn't train and go tell the world. We just got in there. We got after it. We dieted. And it was just like, it was a thing. Like, I don't know if they love it as much as we do, or will still be doing. How many people now will be doing this 42 years from now, Ron? You know what I mean? Like any kid competing right now will be still competing in 42 years. Like that's just like unheard of stuff, bro.
I have that picture right there.
Yeah.
Is that a calendar? November?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, that picture. I did that photo shoot with a bunch of guys, including Rob Russo. Remember him?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that freaking day was 15 hours. That was the longest photo shoot I ever did in my life. We hardly ate the whole day. We hardly drank any water. And all of us were in grainy condition because the sun was beating down on us. I'll never forget that photo shoot. That was in Malibu, California. And they said it was a mansion, and they said it was Madonna's house. We don't know if that was true or not, but that's what they told us that day.
Who was the photographer?
I don't remember.
So last question, Vinny. When Classic Physique came around, which wasn't until 2016, and you're already 38 years old at that point, did part of you say, damn it, why wasn't this around 20 years ago? Because, to me, you are classic bodybuilding, classic physique, whatever you want to call it. The small joints, the muscle bellies, the shapes, the tiny waist. Did you ever wish Classic had been introduced long before it finally was? No, I never thought that because, I grew up with Lee Labrada, watching him, Mike, Francis Benfato, and I got the tail end of Muhammad Makawe, when I first started training. So that was the physique I wanted to look like. And those guys were winning. Those guys were doing well in the IFBB. But by the time 2016 came around, I was in the depths of rotator cuff surgery. And there was no way. Yeah, that was the 93 USA right there. Yeah. And there was no way could even think about competing. And I was just cheering Danny Hester on because he was making a comeback. And I'm so happy that he won an Olympia title. He's my friend. We did a lot of photo shoots together back in the day. I'm on a lot of covers with Danny. And the idea of being there, it was unrealistic because I was in and out of commission training wise. But then when I did do the Masters Baltimore Pro, I did do Classic, but I took dead last. I just wasn't in shape, it wasn't together yet. Yeah. And when I got it together, I just focused on. Somebody told me something. Why don't you just focus
as if you're training for the nationals. You always come in at 197 pounds. So let the Masters Pittsburgh Pro be your nationals again. And that was just the switch I needed. I turned it on and I just focused on getting in shape like I was going to be the best light heavyweight. So I went back to being an amateur in my mindset, because how many times have you seen amateur guys train harder than the pros sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Because they're chasing to become a pro. And a lot of guys who turned pro, I think, took so long to turn pro that they get tired and then they don't put the same effort into it. So that's just the way I've been. These Masters Pro shows I've been into, like, just that's the condition I got to get into. I got to get into that kind of condition that I'm known for from the 90s. But at the same time, I've been told by many judges that I'm not a classic physique, because now I'm too thick, too dense. I look like a 212 guy, and I look like an open guy. So I've had success with being against a lot of the open guys because my arms are very long and my legs are very long. So when I'm standing on stage next to a guy who's 6 foot, we almost have the same amount of muscle, because he's just like a different physique, but he's taller. But I have the same length of legs he has, and my legs are filled out more most of the time. So I fit in very well. I have more problems in the 212 class, even though I'm the same height as those guys. They're just bigger this way, and I have a different type of physique. But I can hang in a 212. I don't think I've won anything in the 212. I've come close. I took a second and a fifth in the 212. But in the open, I have one.
Oh, so all your wins were in open Masters, not 212 Masters.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Learning more every day. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, man, you have been very, very generous with your time, Vinny, and I think you dropped a lot of knowledge. And you young guys out there, if you weren't listening, because I'm never going to, you have two choices. You're either going to be as old as us someday, or you're going to die young. Now, which one sounds like a more attractive option? I'd go for the aging personally. So try to remember some of this stuff, guys. I know it's not going to sink in now. But there will come a time where you're going to think back, oh, yeah, I remember when Vinny talked about that. That actually makes a lot of sense. Let me try that.
I remember those 3 old guys.
Combined age here is like 180, I think.
Wow.
Let's see.
Shit.
Damn.
Let's see. 8 plus Mike, you're 52?
52.
That's 10, and I'm 56, 16. So 166.
Good Lord, dude. That's
with 200 years.
You put it like that.
41 years, 42 years of training. Yeah, there's a lot of training here too.
Wow.
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys having me on. I really do. Thank you so much.
It was awesome, bro. I appreciate it. I'm ready to go train now, bro.
Oh, geez, Mike, it's kind of late, but okay.
Mike, where are you?
I am in Tampa, Florida.
Oh.
Balmy Tampa, Florida.
I said that earlier. I'm sorry.
Love it. Love it. From Cleveland, Ohio, though. Go Browns.
Yeah, cool. We all know what real cold feels like, all three of us.
Yes, we do.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vinny. Appreciate it. And those of you who joined us live, thank you for being part of the chat and everything. And if you're watching this later on a rerun, appreciate it. Drop a comment below. Any questions, comments, we welcome them all. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching the Meathead podcast with this man, 11-time Pro Masters champion, Vinny Galanti. See you next time.